what he's doing is really outside the law. But as a citizen of Gotham, he really didn't have any choice because the law was so corrupt, he couldn't work within the law. But on the other hand, Batman has one rule. He will not take a life.
I will not become an executioner.
He's got systems that he orders his behavior by to try and restrain his natural instinct for violence or for revenge or whatever dark impulses that drive him.
A lot of what makes him Batman is the ability to control himself, to be able to be disciplined. In many situations in life, success requires that we regulate our impulses. Somebody drives into a parking space ahead of us, and instead of ramming into him, which I love to do, I suppress that. I exert self-control. Self-regulation is like a muscle. We have, all of us, a muscular ability to regulate our impulses. Bruce Wayne is a man who's developed that muscle. He has worked that muscle out. So now he has a stronger capacity for self-regulation than anyone else. That's almost his superpower. The power of self-control.
If you finally learn to do what is necessary, I won't kill you.
Occasionally, Batman's critics have accused him of suffering from a hero complex, an obsessive compulsion to help others and right wrongs, as defined by psychologist Carl Jung.
Batman has this obsession with keeping things under control and making sure that the law is obeyed and that the innocent are not hurt. But his obsession leads him to pretty much cut out from his life anything that doesn't add to his mission as Batman.
He's obsessive-compulsive about that. I wrote a story once where he's in the middle of an important business meeting, and it's late in the afternoon. He's discussing $1 million business, and he starts paying attention, and he's simply watching the sun go down. And the second the sun vanishes behind the horizon, he goes, "Meeting's over, I've got to go."
He cannot stop being Batman. It's much easier to stop being Bruce Wayne. So once you understand that, then you can understand why he is motivated and why he continues to behave in the way he does.
Batman's behavior includes his choice to deny himself a lasting romantic relationship.
You once told me that we'd be together.
Bruce, don't make me your one hope for a normal life.
Did you mean it?
Yes.
Bruce Wayne's very capable of falling in love. You might even say that's his Achilles heel, almost his kryptonite. He can have the greatest technology in the world, the greatest weapons in the world, but his heart has no shield. His heart can be broken. So if you're Bruce Wayne, falling in love is a very dangerous thing, because it's possible that the person that you fall in love with will get hurt as a direct function of that person's affiliation with you.
You look nervous.
He doesn't want to love that openly with the fear that that person might be lost to him the same way his parents were.
This is what makes him a hero. It's easy to make a choice if it has no consequences for you. With Batman, the consequences are monumental. Not just life and death, but the kind of life that he lives.
Though Batman recognizes the line dividing justice and injustice, other Gotham creatures of the night see no such distinction.
There's nothing to fear.
And these denizens of darkness relish the chance to perform acts of unspeakable evil.
And here we go.
It's okay. No one's gonna hurt you.
Of course they are.
Crane?
No, Scarecrow.
Their names have become iconic. The Joker, Scarecrow, Riddler, Penguin, Catwoman, Two-Face. In the annals of superhero history, Batman's enemies are the most psychologically scarred, walking definitions of dysfunction, whose vicious deeds often evoke the violent and perverse acts of real-life criminals.
One of the most enduring things about Batman is his rogues gallery. the villains. Because, as I like to say, the rogues define the hero. The greater the threat, the greater the hero.
Demonstrating everything from psychopathology to narcissism, Batman's arch-enemies also offer twisted mirror images of Batman himself.
His villains, like Batman, experienced a tragedy. But he responded by saying, I'm going to spend my life restoring justice to the world. His villains didn't make that choice.
There are plenty of villains that are just as obsessed, but they feel that anything bad that happened to them is something that they need to get payback from the world from, you know. Whereas Batman had the exact opposite point of view. Something bad happened to me, I'm going to make sure it never happens to anybody else.
Every one of the villains takes what Batman uses as a strength and makes it a weakness. So therefore, Batman sees how his methodologies can go horribly wrong if he goes over a certain line. Penguin is bureaucracy gone bad. If Batman or Bruce Wayne let his foundation be used immorally, he could become what Penguin is.
As depicted in the film The Dark Knight, Harvey Dent, also known as Two-Face, is a prime example of a Batman hero turned tragic villain.
Harvey Dent is one of the great characters from the comics, and he has a fantastically interesting arc because he's somebody who starts out as a good guy. He is a DA.
The night is darkest just before the dawn.
But then a great tragedy happens to him and he becomes something else.
You either die a hero,
No!
or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Harvey Dent ends up being scarred by one of his adversaries and completely loses his mind. Half the time he's sympathetic and compelling, and the other half he's as dangerous as a human being can be.
Two-Face is having trouble with the duality, can't reconcile the two halves of himself, has to flip a coin to choose whether to do good or evil. Something freeing about that, also something extremely disturbing, because he's given up his own sense of responsibility because of the coin.
Two-Face could be described as exhibiting a dissociative disorder. A person who literally is giving you two personalities. When someone begins to truly develop an alternative identity or a true alter ego, we move from what may be the normal to something much darker, much more pathologic, in fact, ultimately, quite psychotic.
Other psychological ailments are clearly expressed by many of Batman's villains. The Riddler can't commit a crime without leaving behind a self-incriminating clue. The classic calling card of a narcissist.
Individuals who are narcissistic, they engage in the behaviors because they want to be noticed. You can look at someone like Ted Bundy, who committed a series of homicides, and yet he loved that he could thumb his nose in the face of law enforcement, giving them clues of where bodies were left, pointing in many respects to himself and defying them to catch him.